Episode. Mercedes, I'm thinking about the fact that we've been covering the election. Yes, disastrous. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If we keep going the way we're going, I'm not going to break out the pom-poms and the prophetic, proclamations and say it's all going well. It's not. We're in the wrong direction. We can't win in 2024. If we lose with all the bad news that's out there now, we still can't win. All right, here's what I'm going to tell you. There's a plan. Be thankful for all the battles we're going through right now, even electorally, because we're learning where the holes are in the strategy, and it's coming back to you, the deplorables, the Flashpoint Army, the MAGA patriots. You're the ones that are going to have to fix this, just like always. They're going to call on you. You're like the Marines, and we've got solutions. We're going to give them to you today. But when I start my day off, ever since Charlie Kirk turned me on to this, I've been excited, and it's a company I found out that is actually local to my own state of Texas. Strong Cell has a groundbreaking delivery system that goes right to the cells, NADH, CoQ10, and collagen, to help you feel younger, think sharper, and have greater energy. I discovered this taking it to Europe every day, because you can actually travel with these. That's what I love about them. They're travel size. So I fly a lot, over 2.5, 3 million miles I've got so far in the air. And when I take this product every morning, I find that the energy, the clarity is there as I need it. And I'm telling you something, I had no jet lag in Europe when I took this product. That's how I got introduced to it. I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/strong cell, CELL, lancewallnau.com/strong cell. Find out for yourself why Lance loves this product. And you know what I want to do, Mercedes? I want them to see the most wild moment of the debate last night. The moment that for me was the Vivek moment of the year. Watch this.
Mr. Ramaswamy, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, I mean, we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made-up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Ross.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability.
Oh, I do love it. Listen to me, my friends. I like Vivek. I got friends of mine, I'm sorry to say, I won't name them, but it's like, well, he's not a Christian. He's a Hindu. Wake up and smell the coffee. I try to teach people, when God raises up deliverers, he sometimes offends your religious predilections. Churchill was a cigar-smoking, scotch-drinking storyteller who God anointed to take down Hitler. Lincoln never went to church, but the evangelist Charles Finney, who prayed for God to heal a land, got an answer to prayer when Abraham Lincoln went into office. Donald Trump, that scurrilous 3 times married heathen from Queens, was the chosen vessel that put an embassy into Jerusalem, took out Soleimani, the terrorist mastermind of Iran, and carved together the Abraham Accords, which, whether you like it or not, his formula regarding the land has done more to accomplish peaceful relations for Israel than any other president, including the one that got a Nobel Prize who didn't deserve it, named Obama. Folks, Vivek should be in charge of the RNC. I heard, and now I know why, our friend from Turning Point, Charlie Kirk, say that when this primary is over, if Vivek, who knows how to put together money, knows how to message, and has young youth and energy and ideas, if he would take over the RNC, it would be an excellent feather in his cap, especially if we win the presidency while he's in charge and living and acting large. There'll be energy. There'll be youth. And I love what he said. Who in the world has the MSNBC or NBC or ABC or CBS moderating questions for your side of the party, and then they put in dumb questions about the environment, about Russia, about extremism. They load stupid questions into embarrassment. Why would the Republican Party set themselves up for failure? It didn't occur to me until he said it. Why Tucker, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, Dan Bongino, Candace Owens, Steve Bannon. I want them to ask the questions.
Totally.
My gosh, it infused life into our party. Yo, don't get me going. We got it, folks. It's up to Mr. President Donald Trump. I've always stood by you from the beginning, in the shadow of my burning limousine at your inauguration. I've had death threats. I've been faithful to the vision God gave me that you're a modern-day Cyrus. I'm telling you, leadership is what we need. You're a loyal man. When someone's loyal to you, you have a hard time pulling the trigger. McCarthy, you stand with these people. You stood with Ronna when she was up for election a year ago, or in January. And she got an overwhelming mandate. From who? The consulting class, cocktail swirling donor class in the Republican Party who hates the MAGA base. The Christian shofar blowing, praying, pro-life Catholics out there. We're looked at like we're some lunatic fringe they have to put up with. We are the future of the Republican Party, and we're growing. We're not stopping. Mr. President, Donald Trump, you have to replace Ronna. You got to replace her. And you have to replace her with Vivek or somebody like that will have youth, energy, and chutzpah to shake the party up, because we need to get the data game going. We need to get the ground game going. We need to start moving. Do you know how many volunteers contact us, Mercedes, and say, Lance, it breaks my heart to this day. What can we do? What can we do? This is where the party's supposed to be saying, we've got work for you to do. We got polling places for you. We've got streets you can walk. Do it as a group. Do prayer walking while one of you goes to the door to go find out if your neighbor is going to be able to vote. Do they need a ride to go vote? Can you pick them up? I'm saying we've got millions of Americans that are donating their $20 or $10 or $15 a month to try to help the cause, that don't even realize the money's going to the RNC that's putting it into the budget for flowers, 4-star hotels, and photo ops with Lester Holt there in debates that we're wasting money on. That's the RNC. That's a judgment. When leadership doesn't lead, you lose. 18, 20, 22, and 23. We cannot lose 24. And it's coming down to you and me, folks. I'm seeing it now. That's why we're going to go to the States. How weird is it when I got to raise money with Mario Murillo to put together a war chest, get volunteers, speakers to come in to go into hotels or put up a tent because we get canceled out of meetings, to go to the people and activate the church. Activate the church. What does Jack Hibbs do in his area of Orange County to keep the other pastors informed so that they can work together? Give us some insight on the Jack Hibbs model. What's he doing?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I know you probably actually know more than I, and I know you just set me up to answer that question, but I don't really know. But I do know he keeps his people informed, and that's what I think a lot of pastors are not doing. And so when you talk about mobilizing the church, and I hear you talk through a lot of the issues, right? Like the other thing that's really clear is we're losing the suburban white woman vote. And you can have men in that household that are voting conservative, biblical worldview, and then you have women who are voting pop culture, like you're talking about with Taylor Swift or what the ladies on the talk shows are thinking, and they'll just vote that way. And in a lot of ways, they're uninformed voters. So in the midst of all of us, not just motivating the church to get out and vote, I think that there's also a women's movement that needs to come along, a conservative women's movement. I know Charlie Kirk does a lot with young women, but more and more we need to be talking to our peers as women and saying, well, what do you mean? Like, it's almost like the Palestinian issue. What do you mean when you say, you support eradicating Israel and you think they should go? What does that mean to you? Because a lot of them don't understand what they're meaning in Palestine is murdering people. And you're like,
yeah, when you're chanting from the river to the sea,
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the idea of abortion. When it comes down to fundamentally is, when do you believe life begins? And that's the conversation. And that's what we have to start winning people over with ideas. We just can't be mad at them. And we have a marketing issue.
I heard Charlie say this. He said, has the RNC called together any messaging group? Like, let's get together with Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Moms for Liberty, the pro-life leadership. He said, it might be a waste of time, but he'll go because the subject's so important. Let's talk about how to message, how to frame the conversation so that we're not backing up on our heels, but we're backing up, frankly, the devil. Push the devil into a corner. Jesus did it. He was surrounded by the cunning of his enemies, but his answers were always with such elegance and such wisdom and such profundity and wit that he often shut their mouths with the response that he had. That's what we need. We need to have messaging for our people. You got your pen out there.
Well, I was going to say, I didn't know if you wanted to elaborate more on what Jack Hibbs.
Oh no, you had the right answer.
Hibbs.
What Jack Hibbs did was, and I talked to the lady that did it. He had a lady in his church. Every church has them. The church lady who's constantly going over all the legislative stuff, hunting down the pastor with a little notebook of this week they're going to be voting on this. So can we pray about this? He finally said to this lady, listen, man, why don't you debrief me? Half an hour every Friday, tell me what's going on in my own city and state so that I understand, because I'm too busy with theology and my church. She debriefed him and then gave him advice based on Alliance Defending Freedom, Wall Builders, or First Liberty legal advice as to what a church can do legally in response. And he got educated and mobilized his church to occupy the 7 mountains in their city. Then he did something really brilliant, which is what I'm going to recommend for everybody. I'm going to push this. He found how to get a hold of other pastors in the same county and had them all on the same Zoom call. So when he was getting debriefed, all of them were getting debriefed. They asked clarifying questions. And when it was time to move, they moved as one. That's the level of coordinated thinking. It's not that hard. It's amazing how people kind of go, ooh, that's a good idea. Sometimes the good ideas are obvious ideas. We just haven't used them yet.
Yeah. I mean, Lance, and I know we only
40
have
seconds.
40 seconds. I do also want to get your take, which you may not want to answer this, but what is the answer to this social issue with abortion? I mean, where are we at? Are we going to have to, as more Christian, conservative, social type of people, do we have to put that issue down and maybe look at other candidates? Where are you at with that?
All right, so this is where Donald Trump got so much flack from so many people. It's like, oh, you hear what his answer was on abortion? Well, because he said this is going to hurt us, and he was right, unless we do a better job. We're going to come back and answer that question when we return on the Lance Wallnau Show, lancewallnaushow.com/podcast. What happens if a natural disaster takes place? We have these weird tornadoes that hit in the Midwest and in Texas, but look at the hurricanes in Florida. People can literally have their houses flooded, or they're in a situation where they have no food or access to groceries. Everyone needs at least a 4-week emergency food kit. And fortunately, My Patriot Supply has created a 4-week emergency kit. And these products will last for 25 years. The interesting thing is they give you a 2,000 calorie per day meal. And that's the key. Delicious and 2,000 calories a day, because that's what you're going to need to sustain yourself for 4 weeks in a crisis. We had a winter freeze here in Texas, of all places. And we had a couple of days where we had no electricity. I'm telling you something, this makes a huge difference. Mushroom rice pilaf, fluffy rice and mushrooms, seasoned with red wine and herb. And then how about starting the day off? Maple Grove oatmeal, old-fashioned oats, maple flavoring with a pinch of brown sugar. This is what you want to do. 4-week emergency food kit, and that's just for you. Think about your children. Guaranteed, somebody around you is going to need help. You're going to want to at least have the 4-week emergency kit. Go to lancewallnau.com/Patriot. Use that link, and you're going to get a special discount on their special 4-week emergency kit promotion. Well, can you believe it? The show is over. This day is going by very fast. That's the way I like it. I like it when it's fast and furious like that.
And you tee it up well for old Steve Areno.
Well, you know, that's right, Steve. Well, Steve, I'll tell you what, Steve gets me going. He's what, you know what I love about Steve? For those guys that don't watch Steve Bannon, you need to watch him. I don't want to hear any belly aching. Whenever there's like a bad day and, you know, and it's like, oh, what are we going to do? You kind of get into this kvetching spirit. He smacks you in the face. He goes, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any whining today. It's good for you. Drink it. That's what it tastes like when you don't win. It's like, ooh, that feels so good. It's like an Old Spice commercial when I was growing up. The advertisement was, always had such an alcohol flavor to it. It was like getting slapped in the face. And the guy would slap himself in the face. That's what Old Spice feels like. And so Bannon is like, you know, slap in the face with Old Spice. Like, hey, I don't want to hear your belly aching. So anyway, his point is this. The social issues are killing us. And Peter Navarro, you know, totally gets, you know, he's too extreme. He's going, it's all the economics. No, Peter, it isn't all the economics because the left is coming after us on the social issue. You have to have a strong response. You know what the response is? You have to be able to go to 90% of Democrats and independents are against fourth trimester abortions. 9-month abortions, right? So what part of the argument is, you want to go to when does life begin, but you're a bit geeky and intellectual that way, you know? I would go to the way the left does it, I go to the emotional level, which isn't like the argument as to when does life begin. It's at what point do you want to kill it? At what point are you willing to terminate it? Because 90%.
Well, don't even say it. I mean, you fall into the same thing there. It's not an it.
Okay. Good.
When do you want to kill the baby?
At what age, at what month do you want to terminate that pregnancy? Do you want to take that baby out? Is it 6 months or 7 months? Then what you need to do is you need to show a visual of, you know, from this point to that point, the formation of the child, using that technique which they have now, which is actually giving you a full picture of the baby in the womb.
Yeah, a 4D ultrasound.
What's that called?
It's like a 4D ultrasound.
The arguments are on our side, folks. It's like if we only use them. If you had a picture of what the fully formed baby, how it looks, you know, in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and say, is that when you want to take its life? Because once you see the picture, the mothers that actually see it opt out of the abortion.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you guys about real, rough, rugged reality now. When the mother sees the fingers and the toes and the nose and the details, it's like, oh my God. It's no longer an amorphous blob of non-existent goo that came out of a sexual liaison that went bad. It's now a human being. At what point do you want to terminate that life? And you let them choose and put the candidate you're up against to the point where saying, when? I think it's the woman's right. The woman wants to do it in the 9th month. Do you agree? Well, that's where you got to go.
Well, and there's a lot of people who do. I mean, there's Democrats who sign after it's on the table.
It's okay, but the key is the independent voter and the Democrat voter kind of raise their arm and go, well, I wouldn't go that far. Exactly. But if you frame it as the woman's right versus the bizarre idea of the MAGA person, the intolerant, you know, MAGA person, you got to fight the devil's, you know, branding there. So what I'm saying is the other thing we need to do, and I'm so glad you brought this up, there's ballot initiatives all over the place. I'm so frustrated. I'm going to trust the fact that nobody's going to hear this that's going to be offended because I'm talking about some people I know. I recommend ballot initiatives to people who have the authority to actually fund ballot initiatives. Do you know what they decided? It's too expensive. It's too late. It's too complicated. It's too dangerous. Meanwhile, we're voting yesterday, a couple of days ago in Texas. There's like 9 ballot initiatives. No, they're copious in quantity. They're over everything. Ballot initiative about real estate, about land, about a mayor's office, about this or that. A ballot initiative. The left loves this mechanism. Here's my point. People I advise to do a ballot initiative, except in Colorado. It's the only state that's doing it right now. They decided not to do it. You know why I wanted them to do it? To have something to talk about when the left is beating us up over pro-life. We can go to the initiative about protecting your child from transgender predators in school who are talking to them without your permission about how your daughter is stuck in a boy's body, or a girl, your son has a female soul, or your daughter has a male soul. They're trying to convince them that they're incongruent because they have a different gender on the inside than the anatomy on the outside, and your parents can't be trusted, but we're here to to support you. Oh, here's your multicolored rubber band. Here's your candy and your balloons. Here's your group that you're going to talk to now in a chat thread. And it's safe here, and we'll talk some more about it when we bring in the next people that come in to talk to you about how you're really queer and didn't know it. You're 11 years old, and they're being fast-tracked. The counselors aren't allowed to counsel you out of it. They'll lose their license. The doctor can't counsel you out of it. He loses the license. They've rigged the system so that they're targeting your children, and all you got to do is say, maybe there's legitimacy to all the trans stuff. As a parent, I want to know when my child is in a class being taught transgender ideology. I want to know when you turn your art class into an activist class where you bring in a guest speaker. I want to be informed if my child is talking to a teacher. Some 24-year-old left-wing wacko Marxist graduated from some teacher school with the Democrat Union, who's working on converting your child like an evangelist, like a fundamentalist. I want to know that they're talking to my child.
I don't think they should even be talking to your kid about that. How about just talk to him about math, reading, writing, all of that. They don't need to talk about sex to my kid and who you'd prefer to have sex with, what your preferred sex or gender is. They don't need to talk about any of that. That's for me to decide as the
I know
parent.
that my audience is going to resonate 100% with Mercedes. You want to know how depraved and how Babylonian our culture is? That subject's done. Right now, the LGBTQ curriculum is part of what's being mandated as necessary for them to be taught, whether you approve of it or not. There's 23 AGs right now that are fighting a Missouri law that is going to go up to higher courts to see whether indeed the school has the right to teach your child these things. It's being fought right now. But I didn't hear that ballot issue. I didn't hear our side bring it up. And so my point to you is we should be on the offense, taking the position that we have ballot initiatives in Michigan. If you're listening to me, do it. Nevada, it's not too late. But why? You'll get out the vote. You're going to get moms coming out. Mama bears will come out once they know that their kids going suicidal because they're being taught that they're in the wrong body. You will rise up by the instincts that there's a certain chemical. My son Carl would know what it is. There's a chemical that women have that bonds them with their child. Oxytocin, he says, right? Yeah, because I remember watching a TV show about this, anyway, you're waving with your hand, but the oxytocin, women naturally bond with their child in a way that causes a chemical connection God put in them. It's what we call the mama bear. And the mama bears are the ones that are the answer to the Swiftie Barbie abortion movement.
Yeah. I think too, one of the things that the Supreme Court gave us is, and you've been involved with, basically states' rights and the 10th Amendment, but what the Supreme Court established is that this is not a federal conversation. Things like abortion, as states get to determine what they want to do within their own state, and abortion became a state issue. And you say, hey, it's mandated everywhere. Not in the state of Florida. You can get a lot of trouble if you're a teacher and you talk about that stuff. So I don't think where the conservative movement has caught up is, and this goes to your point about ballot initiatives, is that these conservative states better lock down these parental right issues, especially you're talking about, don't talk to my kid about that, medical rights. In some of these states, if you're 12 years old, you have the right to make your own medical decisions. Are you kidding me? My kid is still eating.
How old are you? How old do you have to be to order a beer? Go to a liquor store, or
Exactly.
or smoke a pack of cigarettes, or drive a car, or own a gun. But you can clip off your genitals.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is some of these conservative states that are controlled, Senate, House, and governorship, better lock these in constitutionally now and follow example of what Florida's doing, because otherwise you don't want to be the next Colorado. So where there isn't a path to do that, absolutely ballot initiatives are the way to go.
Now, I want to say something to you. You may be frustrated. You may say, I agree with you. I agree with you. How come they're doing this? And you may be frustrated like I am. I'm going to give you a word from Jesus. In that hour, Jesus rejoiced. Luke chapter 10. He said, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you've hidden these things from the wise and the prudent and revealed them to babes, for such was your pleasure. I want you to know something. If you have a strong moral grid, it's not because you're that morally superior to other humanity. It's because the grace of God has given you a perception of right and wrong. And Jesus says that God has hidden those things from the millionaire, billionaire. It's amazing to me. It's the educated white liberal female that is the most enthusiastic about messing up the gender of kids and aborting them. Jesus says these things have been hidden from the wise and revealed to babes. And so my prayer for you is that God is going to continue to reveal to you and to me what we need to do to save this country, because there has to be a moral awakening. I mean, we can do our stopgap measure now of trying to stem the flood by, saving, let's face it, saving our country with the next election cycle. But at the end of the day, unless there is a great awakening and the conscience of multitudes is pierced and moral sanity comes back into us, we're in trouble. And there's a promise of that. The promise of that is gross darkness is going to cover people, but upon you my light will shine. You should be more and more influential all the time, every day. You should be getting more influential. We're having a summit, by the way, lancewallnau.com/summit. I want you guys to come out to a leadership summit we're going to be doing at the Trump Doral for maximum health and fitness for this next year. You're going to need it, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Bye-bye.
You asked and we listened. We've taken your suggestions and we've made our already amazing Percale bed sheets even better. As a thank you, we're bringing these to you for as low as $24.98 with your promo code. And our new line of Percale bed sheets include everything you loved about our original sheets. Lightweight, durable, breathable, and they sleep cool and crisp. But now, because of you, they're made with 100% long staple cotton and the highest thread count to date. These sheets are softer and more durable than ever before. Plus, they come in all these new colors and styles. And you'll be getting 5-star luxury sheets delivered directly to your front door for as low as $24.98. Not only that, they come with our 10-year warranty and the 60-day money-back guarantee. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen now. Use your promo code to save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. This introductory offer won't last long, so please order now.
Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Lance to save big on all of Mike's best products. That's promo code Lance. Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.